and government spending are just building up in our economy at this point. It's a breaking point, honestly. And our next guest is pointing out in a recent piece that the current administration and Democratic lawmakers are just doubling down on failed poor policies rather than actually seeing the writing on the wall. Here to discuss is the author of that piece, former Massachusetts Senator and chairman of the Competitiveness Coalition, Scott Brown. Sir, appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. And, listening to that, I believe that all politicians, when they make public speeches, should basically be under oath, because I didn't believe a thing that the president said about the economy, about middle and working class people benefiting by anything that the administration is doing. Yeah.
Could you imagine the public change in policy speeches if that were the case? That would be unbelievable under oath. But, Senator, I want to ask you, though, in that same speech, President Biden gave a ripping review saying, like, hey, we gave Marjorie Taylor Greene's business $180,000. We gave somebody else $2 million, another Republican who owns businesses, $200 million or $2 million. And those were all forgiven. So the fact that they're saying you can't forgive student loan debt is ludicrous. My thing is Senator, if you shut down someone's business and then force them to keep paying their employees that aren't working, is that different from a student loan debt that you voluntarily took out?
Well, listen, everybody during the pandemic was hurting, and there is a safety net. The government is there for a safety net, but it's not a lifelong entitlement. Now, you have people who have made, respectfully, maybe bad choices in their educational opportunities, going and getting degrees respectfully that they're not worth anything. But to do what he's done, and you said $500 billion, I think it's going to be upwards of $1 trillion by the time it's done. And I'm not opposed to young people actually working off their date, going into a service industry or allowing employers to incentivize young people to come and work. There's got to be a better way than just to write it off and say, oh, thank you very much. And by the way, it's the people. It's not benefiting the minority class traditionally. It's benefiting the upper middle class folks who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a worthless education. So no, it's just another boondoggle by this administration. Right. You throw the high cost of energy, you throw the lowering GDP. It's just off the charts. Everything's upside down.
Yeah, if you get a degree in basket weaving and suddenly you can't afford to pay off your $250,000 in student loan debt, that's not my fault and my tax dollars' fault. That's your fault. How they get there, I have no idea. But the Federal Appeals Court has actually stepped in and said, yeah, I kind of agree. And we're going to go ahead and pause this until it can be further litigated. So you can't cancel anything right now. What do you make of this?
Well, first question I asked is, where does he have the authority to do this? Congress controls the purse strings. If we're going to do this, it should be done via Congress. The president can just arbitrarily just say, oh, by the way, I'm going to just wipe off this debt. Where does he get the authority to do that? I don't think he has it. So I think that'll be the crux of the argument for sure.
Yeah, well, it's also funny that many states are actually moving to say that if you receive student loan bailouts, that we're going to classify that as income and tax it. Good move, bad move?
Yeah, of course. Listen, it's basically found money, and a lot of the people, what are they going to do with that found money? They're not going to use it to. They're going to spend it. So is this an economic incentivizer to, go and jumpstart the economy? No, it's just plain wrong. It basically picks wins and losers. It's a question of fairness, and it's not benefiting, quite frankly, the people that need it the most. Yeah. And if you want to talk about what the real problem is, it's high cost of education. You got people like former Senator Warren, who is a professor making $500,000 to teach one course. I mean, you have to reel in the spending, and that's really why the students are paying so much for their education.
Well, Yale undergrad has more administrators than undergrad students. That, to me, is just absolutely maddening. That's what people like. That's why people go to these schools and pay so much money, is to pay for these administrators. And if you're having an education system that teaches that this is the path forward, I mean, look, I was in the military for 9 years, okay? I was in and out of Iraq for the better part of that, my term in the military, and that's how I paid for my college. I didn't use the GI Bill, but I had it eligible. And there's thousands and thousands of other soldiers that went to war in order to pay for college. Many of them, that was their primary mission, along with defending the flag. And you're going to tell them, I realize you guys, dodged lead for this, but we got a bunch of guys with, interpretive dance theory degrees or whatever garbage they teach now, and we're going to give them $20,000 towards paying that back. Does that make any sense?
Well, listen, I have, I know you and you know me. I have a tremendous amount of respect for your service. I did 39 years, and I was able to take advantage of some opportunities as well. But yeah, listen, if you want to have kids join the military, you want to have them go into service groups to benefit our society, police, fire, and you want to help them in that regard, yeah, I'm listening. But just to blanketly do it for no reason whatsoever, just to get votes for a younger voters, it's just wrong.
It's ridiculous.
And you throw it in with all the other spending, the American Innovation and Choice Online Act, for example, the one I wrote the op-ed about, that adds to inflation. And you, of all people, recognize to allow your proprietary information to be opened up to China, Russia, all the bad actors, and to add to cost of goods. Please, am I missing something?
It is.
It's just unbelievable what they're trying to do. China will be breaking open the champagne because they want this. They want to be bigger and better than us, and they want to take over this industry, and it can't happen.
Well, Senator, great piece you wrote. We appreciate you being here. I encourage everybody to go read it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.